Oh, good afternoon, race fans. Box3 Motorsports is back. That's right. We're back. Awesome. A little bit of a hiatus between seasons, but now we are ready to go again. Back at Laguna Seca today. And with season 3 now, you're not just going to come for one race every week. You're going to come for two as we look at random Porsches parked in the middle of the road. Right at the end of the, right in the middle of the corkscrew too. That's the best place to park a Porsche when you're at Laguna Seca. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. As I said, with starting now with season 3, split servers. So up front today, what we're going to be watching are our AM class drivers, along with our rookie class. Now, what rookie class means is that drivers are new to the league. We don't really know where they go, right? They didn't qualify, but we wanted everybody to be able to be included. So they've jumped in now and are going to be in that rookie class with us, which is fantastic. I think that's great. I'm sorry, they're being that rookie class, not AM class. Our AM class drivers ran their qualifications on our qual server and have been placed in AM. After that, however, after a 30-minute race today, we will be joining our pro and silver class drivers at the same track for a 45-minute race and be all set over there. We're going to get to see those guys drive. That is where our aliens reside. But it's going to be a fun racing all day today, all afternoon. Your boy Blue joining us back out there on track as we're just waiting for our free practice to finish up. Let's go ahead and kick over. Get a look at some of the times the guys are setting in the practice. Obviously doesn't count for our qualification, but it's nice to see some times and what we might be able to expect during the course of qualification. Mr. Peanut Butter, thank you so much for being here, my man. Car goes meow. Yeah, the car goes meow. It does, and thank you, sir. I like my hoodie too. I think it's fantastic. And why? The thing's not like I expected. Again, you're noticing a fewer number of drivers on track today, but to be expected, because we're splitting the races up and giving everybody more of an opportunity. And I don't know if you guys were watching at the beginning before I came in here, and we'll review it here in a moment as we're going to be waiting for qualification to get started. Let's go ahead and take a look now, actually. As you can see, a short season this summer, only carrying us till the middle of July. So only really about 6 weeks of racing. Things are a little spread out because we do have some endurance races coming up. And you'll notice there that we're skipping June 19th. Father's Day in the United States, possibly a lot of other places. Bare Necessities is in the chat. Steven is here. Can't wait. But there you guys see it. That is the new season 3 brought to you by Rapid Drivers Club. Those are the guys that allowed us to set up and use their qualification server that does all the tracking for us, splits the classes based upon parameters and data and everything else. So really good to see that. Let's take a look at some of the other things that are still going on. Beer Cup finishes up this week, June 7th. This is round 2 of Beer Cup. This will be finishes up. That's in conjunction with Trackalicious and 949. I don't know for sure that there'll be a round 3 of Beer Cup this summer. I think it'll be back, but we'll see. With summer months here, everybody's outside. A lot of people don't want to be inside in the rig. They want to be out and you know, doing outside stuff because it's cold all year. So maybe, you know, we wait for a little while. Don't forget though too, the World Tour continues this week and for several new weeks. Actually tomorrow, right back here at Laguna Seca, June 6th, 7 p.m. UTC, the World Tour will continue. Up cars and TCX is racing. Again, casual racing, a lot of fun. I think the guys have a lot of fun over there. Those evening races, same with Beer Cup, is really about just getting together, having a good time, and everybody enjoying themselves. Xbox continues as well over at Box3 Motorsports. You guys just did 60 minutes at Snetterton. The one thing I gotta say, thank you, Huff, for that subscription, my man. Good job. Look at him sneaking in there. The one thing I do have to say about our Xbox League, though, these guys, and I somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but they have had like almost no incident reporting. And they all know how to do it. Oh, here we go. That's perfect. Everybody give me 1 second, please. There we go. Fix that up real quick. Always going to happen as we get ready for qualification. But the Xbox drivers have been having a really clean season. They continue next week for a 60-minute race at Kyalami. I wish we could get those broadcasts. I hope they come back at some point. And just yesterday, though, we kicked off Season 1 of the MX-5 Cup cars over at iRacing. We had an absolute blast over there. Coming back June 18th for Charlotte. That'll be a lot of fun. And the reason we're skipping next week for iRacing is because our 6-hour endurance in conjunction with 949 and Trackalicious comes back. The Hungara Ring, 4 p.m. UTC. It's about 12 noon Eastern. And I will tell you, you can watch that 6-hour race right here at Box3 Motorsports. We'll be covering that. The other one we'll be covering is coming up in July, 12 hours of Barcelona. We will be here. You'll be able to watch that right here as well and catch up afterwards on YouTube as necessary. But let's jump back now because we are here. We're qualifying as our drivers get out on track. And as I saw someone say in the chat, yes, Laguna Seca is always a blast. The corkscrew is a lot of fun. Frank Reynolds driving today. Anybody know the Warthog was going to be on track today? I had no clue the Warthog was going to be on track. That is fantastic. Kenny O'Connor, one of our new drivers. A lot of folks here that I do not recognize. Again, as we said, they're all new drivers, rookies to the league. So we may see them move around. You know, where you see someone here this week who's a rookie class driver, you may come to find out, guess what? They're gonna end up in pro or silver next week. So it's, you know, up front when you're new to a league and people don't know you, maybe you didn't do a qual, don't really know where to put you, but we'll figure you out. We'll figure you out. If you're fast, you're gonna get up there. Don't worry about it. And you're right, Huff, it is wonderful to see new people around. Christopher McNichol out there right now, though, having just set the first purple, but that was his outlap. We're not going to count that one. As more times start coming in here during our qualification today. Peanut butter, that is mad. You need to be joining us again, man. One of the best drivers we ever had out there with fight. Peanut Butter's wicked fast. We'll keep our eyes right here on Christopher McNichol, one of our faster AM class drivers, who's sitting up near the top during that quick practice we had to get everybody going. Josh Butler returns out there by the wall. I love focusing on people because you're like, hey, let's talk about that guy, and then he just dips off into the wall. Lewis Rickard, one of our only Audis out there today. There you have it, new fastest lap from Chris McNichol, 124.7 here at Laguna Seca today. I think what I like about this split racing as well is we're going to get a real opportunity to see what's an AM-class driver doing for lap times during qualification, during the race, versus what do those pro and silver drivers pull. And it gives the drivers a lot more opportunity. With only 19 drivers on track for this first race, there's a lot more room to maneuver. You have a lot more opportunity for battles. You're not getting hung up in as many back markers. I think things like that are going to make the driving, although again a smaller grid, you're still racing against the same people. So I think it's going to make it a lot more enjoyable to have the room to run without those back markers, but then to be able to get into battles, be able to, you know, and fight for position without worrying about catching up on a group or even a single back marker that can split up the battle and make things a little more difficult. Daniel Reinsch there with a 125.2. Take a look at the difference there between McNichol. Reinsch holding sector 2 purple right now. Still 7/10 off of McNichol's pace. And there Daniel takes it, gets himself jumped up. But not by much. We can show those gaps. I think it's possible. But a 4.32 to a 4.25. Didn't take much, but we'll see if Chris McNichol can come back, take that pole position back. Mr. Ploop. I don't want to say that name too many times today. Mr. Ploop out on track with us. One of our rookie drivers. Even done as well. Another rookie. But in a Bentley today. This is no rookie. Another Bentley out on track. Your boy Blue, who had a little trouble staying connected to a voice channel before today's stream. Trying to get some information from me. Just kept disconnecting. It was weird. And a few more non-rookies out there. Nikolai Tsiabuk and Josh Butler. Both back on track for season 3. So our top 5 right now, starting with Daniel Reinsch, Chris McNichol, Gasolina, Ryden Lloyd Davies, and Mr. Ploop, all sitting in that sub 125, and now joined by Stephen Dunn, all in the 124 range, and then we move up from there. So our top 6 drivers, all within that 1 second gap, and really here we're talking about a half a second gap as we start at that 425 and roll down to a 947. Very close driving up front, even in the AM class. Listen, just because you hear that word AM does not mean it's not going to be an exciting race. These guys drive just as hard as our pros and our silver drivers. Just as competitive. And there, Chris McNichol taking back pole position, getting down to a 124, 142. So no matter where Qual ends up landing, I think we're going to have a very good battle up front, depending on which one can stretch their legs out the furthest, the fastest, between Chris McNichol and Daniel Reinsch. Another rookie driver this season, Mike Jones, sitting in 6th, getting himself down to that 124. He done as well, so we've pushed out to 7 drivers, all within that 1 second gap of each other. Terrell Scenes Taylor on track waiting in the pits right now. No qualification from him. I have to imagine at this point he's not going to end up coming out. He'll be starting near the back of the pack. Same goes with Josh Butler, Nikolai Seabuk, both out on track but have not yet set times for today's qualification. Take a look and see how some of the drivers are running. See if we can start predicting where people might move up. Gasolina right now, 4/10 up on their fastest. And I think, yeah, 4/10 is definitely going to bump him up into P2 if he can hold it. As you can see, Reinsch and McNichol both getting a little ahead. Mike Jones as well, trying to tighten it up a little bit, along with Frank Reynolds, Alex Martin, and Gehring. And there it is, Gasolina able to pull enough out to pull that new fastest lap by 2/1000ths of a second over Chris McNichol. 2/1000ths. Wow. We are going to have some great fighting up front today. Only a 30-minute race. There is a pit window during the course of this race. I'm unsure if that's the same for the Pro Silver class race, but there is a pit window during the course of this race, so we're going to see the drivers have to go in during the middle, again, during a 30-minute race. That's going to open up 10 minutes in and close 20 minutes in. So that middle third of the race will be the pit window, and it is fuel only for today's race. Even done out in the Bentley. There you can see that time again, 2/1000ths of a second between Lena and McNichol. Drivers now, with about 3.5 minutes left to go. Drivers now heading into the pits. Himself settled, ready for today's race. We want to thank everyone for joining us today. Appreciate you being here. I know the drivers appreciate it as well. Trackalicious in the chat. What is going on, sir? Box3 Motorsports is back for season 3. It's exciting time and so many events this summer. Speaking of Trackalicious, we talked about it earlier. We got that 6-hour endurance coming up next week. Those 6-hour endurance races are going to continue throughout the summer, with 2 more, one happening in July and one happening in August. That's with Trackalicious and 949. And again, the one next weekend at the Hungaroring, you're going to be able to tune in right here and watch all 6 hours. Even you switching it up, buddy. Maybe we have to get together. I'll blue shell you so hard you won't even know what happened. That's only because I'm typically all the way in the back. I get those blue shells and can whap whoever up front, just for fun. I truly want to know who Frank Reynolds is, though. And Gehring's staying out for a little bit longer today. Just over 1 minute left in today's qualification, and we will get ready for 30 minutes of racing. Gasolina holding on up there. McNichol's still out, however. Again, let's bring up that Delta and see where he's at. Right now, sitting about even. Losing a little bit of time through the corkscrew. 2/10 off his pace right now. We'll see if he has time to make that up. But Stephen Dunn moving up. Looking to take one more shot at getting himself into the top 3. McNichol not quite able to pull it off this lap, but he's going to be able to get one more in. Louis Ricard as well up on his best time so far. Kevin Silvari says he's there too. All these guys running right to the end of qualification today. Remember, it's only 0.02 of a second that separate Lena and McNichol. He doesn't need much to take that pole position back, and that counts for a lot being on the inside corner into T1. Qualifying now over. We'll wait and see. Lena and McNichol both still out on track, along with Mr. Ploop, Tiabook, and Butler. Tiabook closing down a little bit too, over a 1 second off his fastest. And Gasolina sets a new fastest lap, 1:24.085. Can McNichol pull one out here? Let's see if this changes before the end of this session. 500ths, I don't know that he's going to get it. And scrubbed it all off in that corner. A good launch. Is it going to be enough? And it is right there. 1:23.952, able to pull it out on the last lap of qualification and our only 123 of this session. That was fun to watch as we get ready for the race to begin. There it is, your starting grid. Over here and clear that. So McNichol will start in P1, sharing row 1 with Gasolina. Silvaris and Reich in row 2. Dunn and Lloyd Davies, row 3. Hoop and Rickard, row 4. Jones and Manilek, row 5. Reynolds and your boy Blue going to sit in row 6 with Tiabook and Gehring, row 7. Butler, Aldred, row 8. Martins and Scenes Taylor in row 9. And O'Connor all the way back there by himself in row 10. Sometimes that's a little bit easier, isn't it, being by yourself? As we wait for our magical little drive button to light up here. We wait to get started for today's race. Last minute. You're right, What Apex. Last minute. Locking it in. And able to take it. Again, the only 123 we've seen so far today. We'll see what kind of times our pro drivers can do. Or silver drivers. Now, again, pro and silver, you got to assume they're going to be faster, right? You have to assume that, but yeah, I don't know. 123.9 is pretty quick around that corkscrew. Welcome in, Great Horizon. Who are you? I got to assume if you said that was fun, I got to assume you're driving. What's your in-game? And Chris McNichol only holding purple in one sector. Oh no, I'm sorry, I take that back. He did hold all, let's see, sector 3, sector 2. Sector 1 still held by Mr. Ploop, actually, who has decided to park in the sand for now. Rickard. Welcome in, Rickard. Thank you for being here, and thank you for driving with us. Good to see you out on track. Mr. Rickard currently sitting in 8th at this time. Rickard? I try. I'm doing my best. Rickard? Rickard. Okay. Ricard. So like Star Trek is like Picard, but with no P. Ricard. Like that. Is that better? I do want to get it right. Okay, folks, before we get our race going here, I just wanted to bump this again. That 6-hour endurance series coming up next Saturday, June 11th, 4 p.m. UTC, 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We will be at the Hungaroring for the entire 6-hour session. 949 and Trackalicious Sim Racing. GT3 and GT4 multi-class racing at its best. It's going to be just fantastic. We get lined up here, ready to go. Prior Motorsports, I'm in silver class, and I would mid-table in this race. Oh, it's just GT3 trackless? Did that get removed? I couldn't remember. I thought it was multi-class still, so... Okay, just GT3 is good, though. That's all right. We keep that. I'm going to be racing in that one instead of covering it, I've decided, and just drive the M2, just to make it interesting. And welcome in Great Horizon. Welcome in Prior Motorsports. Thank you guys for being here with us and watching today's race and participating in today's race. Great to see. M2 safety car? Nah, I'll just stay out there the whole time, though. Just drive back and forth across the track. Add a sense of danger and excitement for the whole thing. Maybe do that at Bathurst, though. I'll save it for the Bathurst. So again, McNichol and Lena going to share row 1 up front. Kevin Silvares and Daniel Reinsch, row 2. Stephen Dunn and Rydian Lloyd Davies in row 3. Mr. Ploop was for card. In row 4, Mike Jones, Marcos Manulac. Row 5, Frank Reynolds, the Warthog himself, and your boy Blue in row 6. Nikolai Tsiabuk and Tim Gehring making up row 7. Josh Butler and Reed Aldred. Row 8, Alex Martin and Terrell Deans Taylor in row 9, and Kenny O'Connor sitting back in row 10. Nice mix of manufacturers today. Again, only one Audi out there, but I'll take it. McLaren going to lead the charge alongside a Bentley. A couple Porsches. A lot of Porsches. Season 2 ended with a lot of Porsches, too. I don't know why everyone wants to drive a tiny little car like that. Like a little roller skate. Lexus and Honda's both represented on track today. Again, great to see an excellent mix of manufacturers. And it looks like Nikolai Tsiabuk with a pit start today. As our formation lap gets underway for the first of 2 races, our AM class split starts now. Again, Nikolai Tsiabuk into the pits. We've seen him do that in the past. I don't know if he likes pit starting, possibly. I believe we've seen him drop back like that before, or maybe had a little bit of problems with the vehicle or a setup or hardware. This will now allow everyone, of course, to take a bump up. He will be locked for 30 seconds after the green flag and then be allowed to start moving. And in only a 30-minute race, not a lot of time to make. It's not a lot of time to make up positions. We're heading uphill into the corkscrew. A late joiner of Jonathan Boscato. There it is right there, folks. That's the corkscrew. 3-story drop. Left, right. We head into double file. So now Boscato will start from the pits as well. Get ready for AM class racing here at Laguna Seca today. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Appreciate you, each and every one of you being here. You want to know more? Exclamation box in the chat. We'll get you over to our Discord if you'd ever like to join us. I think this looks like fun. Pointed out season events, casual events, iRacing, Xbox, PC. We got you covered. And we are green in the first of today's 2 races. Gasolina on the outside, able to get a nudge ahead. We come down into T1. And we're sideways back there, though, with a couple vehicles. Like a little bit of bump, and Mr. Ploop getting spun. But Gasolina able to pull ahead of Christopher McNichol on lap 1. Stephen Dunn struggling as well, dropping a few positions. Making contact with Kevin Silvares. But Gasolina on the outside line, able to take off on Chris McNichol. McNichol sticking close, though. We head down through the corkscrew for the first time today. Kevin Silvares currently sitting in 4th. Your boy Blue. Uh-oh. Blue getting spun in. Go back and take a look. Right there, getting tapped through the corkscrew. And having to hold on. Steve Dunn and Mike Jones trading positions now. Mike Jones nudging ahead. Louis Ricard as well pulling up on Kevin Silvares. Mike Jones now going to come under pressure from Lloyd Davies. And now Kevin Silvares. You see all the contact here as people start dropping into the pits. And Chris McNichol able to get ahead. Let's jump back and see if we can catch it. Not far enough. This is why I don't like the 10-second replay. But Chris McNichol able to jump back ahead of Gasolina right now. Try and keep eyes up there as Kevin Silvares now losing position. Reddy and Lloyd Davies. Alex Martin and Mr. Ploop. Mr. Ploop looking for the move on the outside and not able to close it as Alex pulls a little bit ahead and back on through T1 into T2. Keep an eye on that battle up front, though, between McNichol and Lena. That one snuck up on me. And there they are, tightening it up again. McNichol still leading, but Lena's brought it back to within 0.3. Daniel Reinsch right there with them as well. So now if I'm Gasolina, now I'm having to play defense to try and keep Reinsch off my rear end and close up on McNichol. It's forcing the spread between all three now as it starts to open up. Louis Ricard setting a new fastest lap with a 1:24.3. Excellent to see in a race. Steve Dunn and Lloyd Davies we need to keep an eye on as well back here as they continue to back and forth with each other a little bit. Oh, and that, oh, I don't know if there was curb there. I mean, there was obviously curb there. Was there a push there, though? Not quite the right angle to see it, but Steve Dunn dropping 2 positions now. The Lloyd Davies and letting Kevin Silveri sneak by. Very hard to tell if there was a nudge through that corner. Mr. Ploop again struggling today off out into the dirt, losing position to your boy Blue. Chris McNichol now ahead and staying there, running about a second up over Lena. Lloyd Davies now playing defense against Kevin Silvares. Oh, and a spin there. Kevin Silvares dropping quickly as Dunn, Reynolds, and Jones all get through. And it looks like there was contact there. Manulak getting through as well. Our gap up front is there again, though, as we watch Gasolina make the move heading uphill into the corkscrew. Oh, too wide through the corkscrew is fun. But Gasolina able to pull out ahead of Christopher McNichol. Well, TG, that doesn't make sense. Then why wouldn't you just spell it Davis? Come on. And Chris McNichol, again, these guys going to trade back and forth. Daniel Reinsch is there right with them. Louis Ricard right behind them as well. Gasolina takes the lead once more. Daniel trying to make a sneak by on McNichol. Not quite able to get there, though. Welsh people. Gotcha. Okay. Daniel Reich now has to worry about Louis Ricard right behind him. As they stack through the corkscrew. The battles in the back are allowing now Gasolina to pull ahead a little bit, up to 1.5 second gap at one point. We'll see if McNichol's able to tighten that back down. You guys with different strengths in different parts of the track are playing this like an accordion. But so far, you know, Louis Ricard sitting currently in P4. You see him in the back there in the Audi. He's got the fastest lap today. of today's race with a 124.3. All these guys under 120, under 125, but 6s and 7s otherwise. We dip a toe into the dirt. That's going to cost Gasolina right there, though, as Chris McNichol gets up alongside. He takes P1 back again. These four are going to run together all day. Let's pull it back a little bit just to see how these guys are running. As we see right there, Louis Ricard able to take up position in P3 ahead of Daniel Reinsch. Oh, and a slide from Gasolina. The back end about went out on him. Did slow him down enough to let Ricard and Reinsch tighten up a little bit. Our pit window about to open for the next 10 minutes. These guys are going to get spread out, so we might as well enjoy the battling while we can. Louis Ricard now. Lewis going to look to the inside, not quite be able to get there into T2. Palm Tree, I don't know why you're talking to me and not driving. Unless you're in the second split, which you probably are. And again, you saw it, we just saw it there again. Gasolina dipping that rear end of that Bentley into the dirt is enough. He hasn't lost control yet. You got to wonder how many times he can do that before he does, and two, it's slowing him down every time, letting Ricard and Reinsch keep very close and not he's not alleviating any pressure by continuing to push those track limits right now. McNichol opening up to 1.3 seconds at this point. Yeah, I figured. I thought about it once I said it, Palm Tree. Tim Gehring heading into the pits for his stop. That pit window now open. And Chris McNichol continues to lead us here. He's opened up the gap slightly over Lena, but who has done so as well against Ricard and Reinsch. These guys have spread themselves out just a little bit now. Relsius Taylor was able to make the pass on Alex Martin, but then sent it a little hard into the dirt. Lloyd Davis, Steve Dunn, Kevin Silvares, Maniluk all into the pits at this time. Tim Gehring in the sand as well. So a lot of jostling at this point, but if we look up front, Gasolina is back to haunt Christopher McNichol. These guys have a thing with side-by-side in the corkscrew, and I don't know why. Oh, I thought he was side-by-side and going to ding right into him. So McNichol holds on for another lap, but, you know, Lena able to tighten this up every time coming up that hill as McNichol takes his dive into the pits. He's going to be joined by Ricard and Reinsch. So Gasolina now going to stay out. See if he comes in on the next lap. Josh Butler and Kevin Silvares a little further back now. It's been a while since we've seen Butler race. It hasn't been around quite as much from what I remember from season 2. So great to see him back out on track now, battling with Kevin Silvares. Oh, and loses it there, able to get it over the curb and get some control back, but it is going to lose that position to Silvares. Little bit an early turn in as Gasolina still out on track. No pit for him yet. Pit stops always kind of screwing things up, but Gasolina's staying out again. Your boy Blue heading into the pits now. I'm sorry, heading out of the pits now. Frank Reynolds heads in. Got himself up into P2. Now going to make that that pit stop. Mike Jones staying out on track. Currently sitting in third. We know McNichol, having already taken that pit stop, finds himself now back up into third place. Gasolina and Mike Jones both needing to come in, so he should have a comfortable, you know, a comfortable race for the rest of this, depending on the timing of when we see Lena coming back out of those pits. It's going to get very interesting because looking at some of these pit times, a lot of these guys set themselves up to not need a ton of fuel. Now, McNichol's one of them, spending only 6.1 seconds actually sitting in the pits. And that's not counting entry and exit. That's just the time in the pits, okay? If you look at someone like Daniel Reinsch right behind him, 12.8 seconds. So almost twice as much time sitting in the pits because they wanted to take on more fuel. Came out light, loaded light for the first half of this race. Needed to load up on more during their pit stop. But Steve Dunn's another one, only 6.6. Now currently sitting in 6th place, but only 6.6 in the pits. Right? All the in and out times are about the same, 29.9, 29.2 seconds, somewhere in there. And McNichol is spun. That's not good at all. And now we're going to see what that does to Mr. McNichol. See if we back this up. It's going to be a long one, but we'll take a look back here real quick. So he made it out of the corkscrew, no problem. And right there, yep, it's about what we saw Butler do. Now, Butler was able to control it. Unfortunately, that sausage curb on the inside of that corner will teach you a lesson if you do not respect it. And we just saw that. That's a shame. Chris having a great race up to that point. So really a shame to see that curb taking him out like that. But let's catch up with Manilak and Kevin Silvares now. Gasolina and Mike Jones still having yet to pit during this race, and time is a running out. They got about 3 minutes left during the open pit window. Gasolina now into the pits. We'll keep an eye on that timer to see how long he spends. Again, that spin really might have screwed up McNichol here, but it makes me wonder where it's going to put Reinsch and Ricard, even though their pit times were longer compared to McNichol. McNichol's now behind them. So Gasolina on the move, coming out of the pits. Mike Jones able to take up P1. And as he clears that line here, we should get an idea. So Gasolina 13.1 seconds stopped in the pits. 13.1 compared to the 6.1 of McNichol. Tim Gehring and Lloyd Davis. We're still waiting on Mike Jones to head into the pits. He's got about 1 minute and 50 seconds to get that done. And that pit window will close at the 10-minute mark. Josh Butler now into the pits. Let's catch up with Daniel Reinsch and Louis Ricard. Mike Jones now heading into the pits. Should allow Gasolina to catch right up. Daniel able to open up the gap back to Ricard, and Gasolina now into P1. Not only into P1, but has now set a new best lap for today, or a little bit ago, of a 1:23.792. That's faster than any qualification lap we saw during this AM class qual. So Chris McNichol now back up into P4, but you can see what kind of times he's got to make up with only about 10 minutes to do so. You know, 4.8 off pace, plus the 1.5, plus the 2.8. I don't know that he's going to make up that much time in 10 minutes. I really don't. Hey, Trackalicious, thank you so much for being here, man. Have a great Sunday afternoon. We will talk at you very soon, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Whole bunch of late joiners now. Greg Zucchini sitting in the pits, but Dominic is not here for most of this race. Jonathan Biscotto was not here for most of this race. Get back up on Marcus Maniluk though as Mike Jones starts to close in. Keep an eye towards the front as well as Louis Ricard. Seems to be shrinking the gap up to Daniel Reinsch. A lot of speeding in the pit lanes here at Laguna Seca today. I'm looking at stop-go 30s on several different drivers. Let's get closed in here, though, because Daniel Reinsch under pressure from Louis Ricard. Your boy Blue back there making a run on Tim Gehring as well. Lewis very comfortable in that Audi, really able to make it run today. It's good to see as an Audi fan. Watching back here as well with Manilak and Mike Jones. Oh, and there we got a slide right in front of him. Hold your brakes, sir. There we go. Thank you. It was Kenny O'Connor losing control. But Daniel and Lewis both able to get through without issue. Hey, Ottens, since you're in here, I know you'll be racing soon, but if you have opportunity, just a thought in the back of your head about the late joiners. We had a bunch of people coming in very late to this race. So Manilak now getting pressured from Jones. There it was, Mike Jones able to blow around Marcus Manilak. Very good move, and another dirt grabber. Awesome, thank you, Remco. Thank you, Ottens. Much appreciated. Mike Jones off into the sand. Once again, Louis Ricard tightening up on the back end of Daniel Reinsch right here at the end of this race. 6 minutes left to go. Don't forget, folks, stick around because right after the end of this race, the conclusion of this race, we'll be jumping over to that Pro Silver class server to get ready to watch that race. That'll be a 45-minute event this afternoon. Same track, Laguna, Seca. See what kind of times those guys set. Want to go take a look around, but we got to keep our eyes right here. Couple of blue flags allowing Louis Ricard to catch back up on Daniel Reinsch. And Louis sneaking through. Taking up now P2. Gasolina with a very comfortable 2-second lead, but if whoever these guys that wins this battle, I mean, 4 minutes, just under 5 minutes, is plenty of time. I mean, Daniel now ahead again as, whoa, Louis Ricard is off track. Jump back real quick. And there the curb will get you. So Louis Ricard now back into P4. Pushes Chris McNichol back up into third. Daniel losing time, though, because now 3.6 off the pace of Gasolina. So, I think this is really Lena's race to lose. We had to wonder about that for a minute. They were starting to close in. It was a 2-second gap, 6 minutes left to go. There was opportunity there. Take a look at our position deltas for today's race. Gasolina picking up 1. Daniel Reinsch picking up 2 positions. Louis Ricard, though, right there, 4 spots, along with Manulek and Frank Reynolds. But look at Alex Martin. 6 spots up to P11. Even your boy Blue picking up two positions. Chris McNichol, unfortunately, losing 2. And Lloyd Davis dropping 2 positions out of your top 10 there. But Stephen Dunn and Mike Jones holding steady throughout today's race. Drivers relatively well spread out. Again, Lena able to open that gap up. Reinsch with Ricard having trouble. Reinsch losing some time, and that gap holding at this point. Maybe a little bit of a hold up here with a back marker, but I don't think it's going to be too much or allow Daniel to really close in time before the end of this race. Again, folks, don't forget, we are sticking right here. Frank Reynolds. Now we're seeing some closing here at the end, though. 1.5 minutes left to go. You see that Daniel's brought it to within 1 second. McNichol closing in as well. Again, Lena getting hung up in these back markers is really allowing Daniel to shut this down. And here it is for the last lap. We're going to go toe to toe. Right to the end. I told you the AM race would be exciting, didn't I, folks? I said that at the beginning. That AM designation doesn't mean a thing. Let's go. Even Chris McNichol being right there, we've got a three-way run to see who's going to win this race in what will probably be the last lap. Oh, and McNichol's gone, though. That ends that one for him, unfortunately. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Chris McNichol now 13 seconds back. Very tight into the corkscrew. Daniel Reinsch applying pressure to Gasolina. Gap's opened up a little bit here, but we got enough corners left in this. You never know when somebody's going to look to make a run. Oh, and Reinsch pushing just a little too hard. And right there, off into the sand. He should have plenty of time to get himself spun back around before McNichol can catch up. But that's a shame right there. Wow. And there it is, your AM class winner today, Gasolina. As we watch Daniel Reinsch come across the line. Chris McNichol hung up in some traffic. Oh, and Louis Ricard right there, though. And Louis Ricard gets around McNichol right at the end. How did this come to be? We'd have to jump back 30 seconds. We're not going to have an opportunity, but wow, he came out of nowhere. Again, it's just like the beginning of the race. It happened so quickly. There was no opportunity to get on them because they went from being several seconds apart to all of a sudden right together. Wow. Well, Chris McNichol dropping now back to 4th place. That is a shame. There you have it, folks. Gasolina, your winner of today's amateur class race and rookie class race at Laguna Seca. Daniel Reinsch, P2. Louis Ricard coming in P3 with Christopher McNichol in P4. 1/10 of a second separating those guys. One second, or 1/10 of a second apart. I told you guys at the beginning of today's race, though, I said it. I said that we're going to have a lot of fun and that that the amateur class race was going to be just as much fun as any other. I said that. I know y'all listened to it. I know you do. I know you listened. And I was right. I was right. That was a lot of fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get ourselves now jumped over to our pro class server. Should have free practice already in progress. We'll see how much time is left there when we get in. If we get in. Hello, McFly. There we go. Pro class server, 53 seconds left. Get ourselves connected here. Daniel Pickett out and running today. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it left Gasolina up there. Give me 1 second. We'll clear that. Oy vey. All right, we can fix anything. We can fix anything here. Not used to these dual races, so things get a little weird sometimes. And there we go. We're all set now. There we go, folks. Practice for our pro class race today just now coming to an end. We throw ourselves into autopilot for a few moments. "31 drivers in today's Pro and Silver class race. Mr. Will Green is out there again. Remco Ottens back on track. Old Ress joining us. I love that car. It's just fancy. I think it's fantastic. We are ready for our 20 minutes of qualification at Laguna Seca today. A lot of drivers. 31. We're going to get through them all, though. Folks, I'm going to leave you for just a few moments. We'll keep you right here on track as you watch these guys start their qualifying runs. I will be back in about 5 minutes, and we will go through these drivers, who we see, what they're doing. Take a look at their personal bests during this qualification. A couple deltas. So stay with us right here, Box 3 Motorsports. My name is Adam, and I will be back to join you in just a few moments. are back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Adam Thursby. Thank you to all the drivers. Let's get in here and take a look now at what is going on for our Pro and Silver class split today. Right up front right now, Mr. Will Green in a Porsche. A 122.587, our only 122 during this qualification session so far, and he just beat his own best, bringing him down to a 235. Danny Baisden. Out on the Ferrari. A 123.2 right now. Daniel Pickett, the Pink Pig, currently sitting in fourth, just got dropped behind. Well, Danny and Daniel both getting dropped behind John Gray. Getting himself up in the second with a 123. Again, Will, the only one so far to break that 122, though. Or into the 122s, I should say. Probably be better if you guys could see that, wouldn't it? Bring those times up for everybody. Conrad Kula. That is a fancy car right there. I like that. That's a nice livery. Remco Otten's back out today. Again, Remco in the Porsche now. Coming out of that McLaren. And he's been driving. Old Gress joins us again. Again, that livery as well is just fancy to me. Anthony Anderson is back for Season 3. Retro Coffin. Sitting in the pits, Wilson Fernandez. Back out today. Along with everybody's favorite, Clueless Geezer. You know, Fife, here's the thing. And I know your Xbox, your ACC, so you might not get it, but if there's a hell, and if Red Rider and Shy Guy have to go there, I don't want them to go there. But if they have to go there, for whatever reason, maybe just for a visit, I hope that for them, that place is Laguna Seca in the Formula V. I know Red's going to get that, so, you know, that's my wish if they have to go there. I don't want them to, but if they had to. Alejandro Aguilar is back with us this season. Again, another these guys put together some fantastic liveries. Really ought to go and just do a little sidebar on just the liveries that some of these guys come up with. George Garton sitting in the pits. DJ Boxer. Another Porsche out on track today. Andrew Haynes returns, deciding that curb and that sand did not need to be there. Christoph Arts is back with us. 33 drivers in this Pro and Silver split today. Great Horizon, the Formula V is hell on any track that isn't a drag strip. Listen, you just got to know how to drive that car. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm still not fast in it, but I can keep it relatively under control because you just got to understand that you get it into third, you don't take it out of third, and don't touch the brakes. That's all you got to know for the Formula V. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a go-kart engine on the back of that thing, so, you know. Adam Thomas back with us now, sitting in the pits. Tobias Gable. Tobias coming after me, man after my own heart, driving that Audi. Ryan Blanchette back with us today, along with Stuart Pryor, Matt Morrison. So many drivers today. I ripped my brakes out of that thing. You have to. You just disconnect the brake pedal on your before you're going to race Formula V. Just take the brake pedal out. You just unhook the wire so you can't even worry about it anymore. Brian Anderson. Lucas Smoke now coming out of the pits. Matt Comiskey. I do not like his driver name on his car. He did that on purpose. Armens Patrovics. EDR Boys. That's a nice livery too. Look at that. Fancy. Bob Charlton back with us. Humphrey Wangle Snatcher. Mr. G. Stevens is back. and Artem Kudasov. Another Audi. Excellent. A long rundown of silver and pro drivers for today's race. 34 drivers now on track. Zap Brannigan just now joining in. Mr. Brannigan. Take a look back up front, though. Will Green now sitting in the pits, but Danny Bison able to get back himself into P2 with that another 122. So, you know, this always happens during qual. These guys get out, they get their tires warmed up. We see one or two up front that are very fast. They set very fast early lap times and are able to put themselves in a good position. Then all of a sudden, this is why we watch it all the way to the end, because things start to change. Danny Bison jumping into the 122s. Cole Gress now sitting in third into the 122s. Daniel Pickett now into the 122s, along with Remco Ottens currently sitting in the pits. So our top five now, all again, like we talked about during that AM class race, right? Doesn't matter the time. We knew the AM class, you know the AM guys are a little slower than the pros, than our aliens, of course. We can't all be the same speed, but we're still seeing that top five, that top six, all running very, very close. And again, 45-minute race here. So they're going to have plenty of time to jockey for position, but with 34 drivers, a lot tighter track when it comes to traffic, back markers, and grouping up. We'll see who's that advantage that plays to during today's race. Thank you, Josh, because I did forget to join a widget there. So hold on, now I just got to find you. Mr. Butler.
Well. It is you, sir.
How are you today, sir?
Super happy. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, I know we got still a little bit left here in qualifying, but we had a good chat after the AM rookie race.
Mm-hmm.
I can say without a shadow of a doubt, it is one of the best ideas that's been implemented. It was fantastic from our perspective because we see how fast some of these guys are, like your Will Greens, your Cole Gresses, your Picketts. Mm-hmm. They're gonna, somebody like me that's always gonna be at the back of the grid, regardless of what the split is. I'm always gonna have to deal with them lapping me.
Yeah.
But today, I only got lapped by 3 cars, and that was fantastic. Now, granted, it's only a 30-minute race. Okay, you stretch that out to an hour or something, and it becomes, very different. But the racing, everybody was on very similar pace. It was very respectful. Not a whole lot of incidents as far as what I saw, minus the 1 or 2 I was involved in. Did kill blue, which made me feel good.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, normally if you hit somebody, you're probably feeling pretty bad about yourself, but you tapped blue, like that. Yeah. That raises your spirits, I think.
Yes, someone has to do that. Like, I'd get at least 4 championship points for that.
I think so. I think it's very worth it. But no, I'm glad to have you here, man, and I'm glad to hear that. I mean, look, that was not my decision. You guys know I sit back here and in judgment. I sit back and above in judgment of everyone else, right? I don't run these leagues. That's Will Green. That's Kevin Huffman. That's these guys that put a lot of time and effort. Ottens is another one that really helps out. And with the number of drivers we had coming into season 3, it was like, you know what, it's time to split things up. And I think it does a couple things. And again, I'm a slower driver like you, right? If I'd have been in racing with you today, you and I might have been neck and neck there towards the back somewhere. Okay. But I think it does a couple things. One, it opens up the track more. You're less likely to get caught up in back markers. You're less likely to be in traffic. There's less likely to be very large groups, I would say, of drivers, to where things are a little more spread out. You still get battles, you still get competition, just not so crazy that you can't figure out what's going on, right? And number 2 is, to your point, as a slower driver, as an AM class driver that I know I am, it does kind of like rub on you that you're getting lapped regularly by these aliens, and you can't catch them. So it's not like you're even trying to compete with them. They're in a different class. They're faster. So even if you were all in the same class, if I see Will Green coming up behind me, dude, just let me get to a straight. I'm gonna let you go. I don't care if we're fighting for position. I'm gonna let you have. I know there's no way I can defend against you, and I think it alleviates some of that pressure to where, and again, to your point, you're not feeling like you're getting lapped all the time. So that's fantastic.
And then it's one of those vicious cycles is, you know, Will Green's going to be turning 23s and 24s in the race. I'm going to be running my 26s and 27s. Now, every time I slow down, now that's pushing closer to a 28. So now more traffic's catching me. Now I got to let 4 or 5 guys down. Now I'm at 28.5. Now I got 4 or 5 guys more catching me. Next thing you know, I'm running 29s. Yeah. And I'm 2 seconds off of my own best because I'm having to make room for guys because I don't want to ruin their race. Like, they're the feature premier drivers. And this is a respectful league. They're not going to just be like, I'll just ram this guy off the track and keep going. But you know, as a slower guy, I don't want to impede them. I don't want to ruin their day. I don't want to cost them a win.
Well, unless it's Ottens. And that's the cool. Yeah, unless it's Ottens. It's what's really cool is getting to know from myself in covering these races is getting to know these drivers. And the reason I say that is just specifically in regards to yesterday. We had our first race of the MX5 iRacing season. Right, we're doing. You know, we're just getting started. It's our first season. And what was really cool was I was battling with Red Rider. I think everybody knows Red. And Will came up behind me, right? Will's in first. We're both back markers. You know, crew chief's telling me, blue flag, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. We're at Lime Rock. I didn't want to get out of his way. I was battling Red, number one. Number two, we had a straight coming, right? The straight, you know, the start-finish straight's plenty long. He was going to have lots of time to get around me there. But here's what I mean in that long diatribe is I wasn't worried about it.
Right. You know, Will's not going to punch you or he's not going to yell at you later.
He's not getting upset. He sat back there. He bided his time. And then, shoot, you know, as soon as we got onto that straight, off he took. And that was the end of it. You know what I'm saying? And we were able to continue our battle. So it's one of the things I love about covering these races is this opportunity to get to learn these drivers and know how they are, know who they are, and really get into it. And every new season is hard because we have a lot of new people. So now I've got to learn a lot of new people and how they drive. And it's hard for the drivers too, right? You get nervous. It's somebody brand new next to you. You're probably sitting there going, what's this guy going to do? Am I going to have opportunity here or is he just going to baff me?
And to add injury to insult, you also have to learn how to pronounce some of these new names you haven't pronounced before.
Yeah, that's the fun part every time.
I'm trying to look through and see if there's any that I don't like. Kula, I'm not sure who that is. And P9, I'm not familiar with him.
The good thing is I have Gable. Tobias Gable will certainly help me. Every chance. And I appreciate it because I want to pronounce people's names right? Like number 2, Danny Bisden. Is it Baisden? Is it Bisden? I'm going to do my best. But he's one of our new drivers, I think.
Yeah, it's not a name I've seen before, and I'm going to assume that little flash he gave Dish then was for the camera since he knows we're watching. I assume he wasn't flashing during quali because that couldn't happen. That's not
good. You shouldn't be flashing during quali. He is 2 tenths up on his fastest though, so I think he's trying to set a new time.
Yeah,
didn't quite get him there, but so our top 7 now, all running in the 122 range.
And I think that's about it. I think they're probably about capped. I don't think we're going to see anyone get down to a 22 flat. I think that would be just a ridiculous lap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Will Green's still out there, right? So, he's still on track, but he's leading right now, sitting on the pole position with a 122.235. It's gonna be hard to see if he's going to be able to tighten that down any further.
And it's weird seeing Will in a Porsche. I always just associate Will and Mercedes.
It is strange, isn't it?
And then Otter's switched from I think he was in the McLaren last season.
And speaking of Otter, just dropped himself into P2.
In the Honda competitive at Laguna Seca? Yes, please.
And you were wrong. We just got a new fastest. Will just knocked into the 121s. So,
wow, Will Green, what a lap.
That's what I'm saying. Moses. This is why we watch qual all the way to the end. Just about a minute and a half left to go. Turtle Track SimSport, are there any openings in silver or am? I'm a little confused on the join process. So here's what you're going to do, Turtle Tracks. Don't worry. Don't be sad. I see the sad face. Don't be sad. You're going to come over. If you haven't already, you're going to come over to the Discord. What I want you to do is I want you to at Huffman or at R. Ottens or Otter, at Otter, okay? And ask those guys for help. They're really the ones that manage the PC season. I can't help you right now. You're welcome to at me, Molson FL as well. I can try and help you once the race is over. But we'll be more than happy to get you in here, man. 100%. it can be a little confusing, so don't worry about that at all.
Yeah, we've definitely got room for some more AM drivers too. It'd be nice to get that thing a little more full. Don't want to get crazy with it. Wait, Otten's Porsche is beautiful. What? Otten's
Look at
driving
that
a
thing.
Porsche? I thought he was in the Honda.
No, he's in a Porsche again. Or now. I don't know why. Yeah, he's in a Porsche.
Well, I will no longer be his friend or pretend to be.
And I know why Manu's saying that in the chat. Manu, did you make that one? I need to go to Manu. Manu is our resident MZB99 in chat. Manu is our resident livery designer, the official Box 3 livery designer. Guy's fantastic.
Gorgeous work.
He really does. And I need to go to him and pick one up now that he's back at it.
It's a level you would see on a real racing car. This isn't just like, this guy's pretty good with Photoshop. No, this dude is a pro's pro.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They got to be the best liveries we have out there. So.
Well, 5 seconds left in quali. There's not a lot of room for error now if you want to try to improve your position. Top 10 looks about how you'd expect it.
Yeah, pretty well set,
expected to see Art's a little bit higher than that. P16's not bad, but with some new folks, you kind of get shuffled around. Anderson, I would have expected Ando to be a little bit higher than that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a shocking spot for him there.
No, but Tobias Gable, P11. I mean, Tobias is... I wonder if it's a track thing with Gable, because it seems like sometimes, and now P12, a lot of times he is right up there, right? We're talking top 5, if not top 3, somewhere in there. But there's these certain tracks that you see he just doesn't... I don't know if it's the track doesn't click with him or what. I know he loves this new Audi, so it's not the car. But I wonder if Laguna is not one of his better circuits that he's able to maintain on.
Oh, it's the American exceptionalism. You know, he's so Eurocentric. It's probably confusing for him.
Probably. He gets upset. There you have it. We are finished out. So Will Green is going to lead the pack today and going to share row 1 with Remco Ottens. You know, and I got to say, I think maybe the Porsche is working out for Ottens. I don't think we saw last season a P2 qual for Ottens, did we?
No, I
don't think
I
so.
Think P5, P4 was probably his best.
Yeah, like not, not sitting up there in P2 right behind Will Green, but maybe that Porsche agrees with him. Certainly seems to, so.
We seem to have a lot of folks here, and a lot of that, I mean, shout out to Sean and his setups, but a lot of folks moving over to the Porsche, only Zap sticking with the old Pork, but a lot of new Porsche drivers, and it just seems to be a really good car, really setup dependent.
Yeah, I'd say we're a little Porsche heavy if you look at the tower right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all in the top 10. So more than 50% of our top 10 is Porsches today.
Box 3 Motorsports brought to you by Porsche.
Yeah, we need a sponsorship deal with these guys, don't we?
Yes.
I think that needs to happen.
Straight up Porsche. Is there a minimum pit time? No, Carbon. We do. So for the AM race, we do fuel only. For the fast drivers, we do fuel and tires. And so there's not a minimum pit stop time, but your minimum is going to be 30 seconds, assuming you have no damage to change the tires and put fuel in. And
let's take a look at the PC season real quick while we wait for this race to start. Speaking of which, you can see it right there, 45-minute Pro Silver, fuel only. It is fuel only. Oh, no. Fuel only for the 45-minute race, which I believe today is a 45-minute race. Fuel and tires for the 60. And today, today's a 45-minute race, so there'll only be fuel today. So yeah, your pit time, and what I found interesting, I'm going to watch it during this pro race too, because the software I use tells me your total pit time, but it also tells me how long you were stopped in the pits, right? So it eliminates entry and exit and just tells me how long you sat in the pits. And what I found interesting during the AM race was there were drivers who, some of them were 6 seconds in and out, boom, boom, they're gone. Others were 13 to 14 seconds, which tells me they were taking on a lot more fuel, right?
Okay.
So I wonder what the strategy will be here. Do I come out heavy up front, go longer so I can pit later, and then it's a splash and dash to the end? Or do I come out light so I can do a quick, maybe a little bit longer pit stop, but my pit's done earlier and I can stay on track for a longer race? So who's going to undercut, who's going to over, and what are those pit times going to look like is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, so that was the thing that we were working out, because Blue and I run together on endurance races, and so we were kind of talking beforehand. We both just decided with a 30-minute race for us, the splash and dash made the most sense. because you're talking about 8 kilos per liter of fuel. You're not really slowing yourself down that much when you're at 50 to 60 liters of fuel. So
Yeah.
I think, and so I went all the way to end. I wanted to make as much overcut and make up as many spots as possible. Ended up in P12. Never finished that high before. So as far as I'm concerned, it worked even with my mistakes. So
No, you're good, man. Hey, as long as you come out happy, right? That's what, again, I don't race ACC with the league, but I do, I race ACC and I race iRacing, and, I just want to go in and feel like I did as good as I could. I did as well as I could. I think yesterday I got 8th in the race.
Nice.
our Mazda race. But let's be fair, I was battling red the whole time, and I did end up beating red, so that was fantastic. I loved it. But it was also
win.
Well, he threw himself off the track though, so it wasn't really I beat him. It was more, he decided that a curb was smaller than it. He thought the curb was smaller than it actually was. It ended up not being that small. So that didn't work out in his favor. But I just, I felt like I had a good race. It was clean, and that's what's most important to me as a driver. I want to be clean.
For sure. Well, speaking of clean, Tobias Gable mentioned that he wasn't quite as high, wasn't quite as clean as we thought he was going to be. He did mention in the chat he really dislikes Laguna Seca and the grip. The only thing he says is versus Snetterton.
Gotcha. So that makes sense then why we're seeing him qual where he did, right? Sitting right there. I mean, he got into 10. He got in the top 10. That's nothing to sneeze at, obviously. He's doing very well for a track that is not his favorite. As we wait for this to kick off real quick, let's just run through it. You heard me talk about iRacing. We're back June 18th in Charlotte, 8 p.m. If you're an iRacing fan, if you enjoy iRacing, come on and join us. Get signed up and join the league. Be happy to have you. We're doing Mazdas this season. We'll see where we go forward. Really, with iRacing, we're trying to keep it to the free content right now, right? Nothing paid, nothing crazy. We do GT3 with ACC, so we don't have to worry about that. And I think we're really, just trying to keep the free content going so that as many people as possible can join. We do have Beer Cup returning this Tuesday, June 7th, going to Paul Ricard. It'll be the last race of this Beer Cup. That's in conjunction with Trackalicious and 949 Sim Racing. Those guys are fantastic. Euro Trip is back tomorrow. Laguna Seca right back here at Laguna, June 6th, 7 p.m. UTC. Those both Beer Cup and World Tour, both casual series. So if you guys don't want to join in the heavy league stuff, come join for the casual series. You'll have a good time. And again, we're back June 11th, next Saturday, for a 6-hour endurance series. It is not multi-class. Don't let that trick you. GT4 went away. It's just GT3. But again, with 949 and Trackalicious. I know the first race went very well. We're back for Hungaroring. You're going to be able to watch Hungaroring right here at Box3 Motorsports. And we'll announce where Zandvoort will be during next Saturday's race. But I can tell you, Mount Panorama in August will be right here as well. Along with, in July, 12 hours of Barcelona, July 23rd, 10 a.m. UTC. It's about a 6 a.m. start time for me. Going to be fantastic. Are you racing any of the endurances?
Yeah, actually, I was supposed to do Barcelona, but my son had a baseball tournament, so Geezer picked up with Blue for me.
Okay.
But yeah, Blue and I will be in the Lexus at the Hungaroring. I'm pretty excited about that.
We will be watching. Can't wait for the 12-hour. And I'm going to put this out there now because I know it's a lot of league members that watch these races, right? Obviously. And if you're not in the league and you want to be and you're watching right now, ! Box in the chat will get you to our Discord. You should come join us. We have a blast. Again, casual, serious. As long as you're a clean racer, we want you there. Come and join us. We're going to have a good time. Community first, racing second. That's our kind of our motto. One of the things, I'm actually working on a project right now, and I'm hoping I can make this work. So let me ask you, Josh, real quick. What would you think? Because I know you guys get together. A lot of the league members, they get together, they go run pubs, or maybe you're participating in beer league, anything like that, right? What would you say if I told you, hey, you, Josh, if you want to run your own season, right? You want to do like a short 3-race season on Wednesday nights because that's when you're available, and you want to set the tracks, you want to do those things. Do you think that'd be something you'd like to be able to do?
Yeah, so I love all that kind of stuff. So I am an admin in an F1 league that's completely separate from Box3. There's no relation here or anything. And that's one of the things that we did, especially for some of our younger members that maybe aren't as well known. We would let them start doing one-off events, or we're going to do this Tuesday fun series, and this kid's in charge of everything. And when he says this is what we're doing, he speaks with our voice as the admins. And so we give people some empowerment and buy-in. So yeah, that's exactly the kind of stuff I love. I dig that. I dig community engagement and getting people, finding ways to help people get involved.
That's what I'm trying to do right now, is set up some servers so that, and you would have an account. You could go in, make changes, set it up the way you want, and off you go.
Glorious. That sounds fun.
So we'll see. I'm hoping that's coming. But we are about to get a green flag. Will Green and Remco Ottens into T1 and T2. Will with the inside line. And we all know Will is fast, but Remco showing some... Oh, and we got a bad push in the back. Oh, my goodness. Pickett getting shoved off track. That was brutal. Oh, that was bad. And I'm thinking my software actually lost its mind trying to figure out what is going on. We are 3 and 4 wide. Wangle Snatcher in contact with people. Will Green pulls ahead. Danny Bison able to get ahead of Remco Ottens, currently sitting P2. And Ottens now going to have to play with John Gray and Cole Gress. And John Gray pushing Ottens around the corner. Ottens able to recover, but not before Cole Gress was able to sneak by. And now Tobias Gable, who started P10, has found himself in P5. That was brutal out the first corner. Oh my goodness. And here we go through the corkscrew for the first time. Relatively clean down through the corkscrew there.
That was a super sweaty
yeah, that was not good.
Oh. Little too much for my liking. I'm sure there's a couple of bad words being said in different voice chats right now.
I have no doubt whatsoever. But now we have to see, because Will Green out front coming across the line for the first time. Danny Bison right there with him now, about 7/10 at this point, but he had tightened that down to around 0.2 of a second. We're going to see if Will has somebody who can hang with him, because at this point by himself, you're waiting to see, you know, Will Green just run away with it. But Danny keeping it tight so far. Cole Gress under pressure from Remco Ottens. Ottens not going to be satisfied sitting in P4 right now after the push. Now Gress not the one who hit him in that corner, but able to sneak by as Ottens recovered. So, you know, I think that'll get interesting to see if Ottens can tighten that back down. Anthony Anderson fending off DJ and George Garton. Garton with a little knock on DJ right there and sneaking by.
So good job for Ando there. We mentioned earlier that he was kind of lower than I was expecting him to be, and he did mention in the chat that he's in a new car for this season, so he's getting used to it. I think he was driving the Nissan previously, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably wrong there.
That'll do
Lexus. It. He's one of those weirdos. But anyway, all the way up to P7 for Ando.
And I will say,
Retro Coffin, P19.
I can 100% understand that, because I tried at one point switching to the Merc. I ended up back in my Audi. I liked the Merc, but I just couldn't. It was just like, you know what? No, I gotta, you know. I tried to do...
Yeah, the Merc's one that takes some getting used to. It has the weird anti-dive front suspension, and people complain a lot about the understeer on it, and that's one of the things whenever I'm building setups. In fact, I didn't see where Armand Petrovic is qualified, but KB is one of the people I do endurance racing with as well. We have a separate Discord, but he is a huge Merc fan, loves the Mercedes, and has really been learning how to build setups and mess with dampers, and he's figured out some tricks to make it pretty lively.
Wow, excellent. Maybe you have to talk to him, because I do enjoy it. I'd like to drive it. Retro Coffin getting around Mitsev now. G. Steven, Udasov, all stacked up back here. Remco Ottens, what happened to Remco?
Dropping down the order, still dropping.
Let's jump back. It's going to be a 30-second run, but I think we needed to see what happened to Remco Ottens. Qualified P2 right there, and we saw that in the M-Class race. These guys have got to stop hooking that curb. That's all I can say is that curb, I think, caused the same thing for at least 2 or 3 other people in the M-Class race. Just they swing out onto it, the rear tire catches, and it's all it takes. It swings them right in a circle. So Remco Ottens now dropping down all the way to P28. That's a shame after qualifying P2. That is a shame to see.
And just nowhere to pull out. There's just so much traffic on, and it's such a short track with these,
Yeah.
minute 23, minute 24 laps with what do we have, 35 cars out there. There's good luck finding a gap.
Yep, exactly. Wangle Snatcher now under pressure from Aguilar and Haynes.
Great Horizon, if you need the actual replay file, if you'll ping me in the Discord, I will upload it when I'm done here. Otherwise, when this ends, go back and watch this again at the beginning of VOD. We did one long broadcast today, if I understand correctly, Molson.
Correct.
So it will be back at the beginning of this stream. That's where you'll be able to watch it.
And also, I can send the file up as well. My game automatically saves all the replays. So.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So jumping a little further back the line, Ryan Blanchette and Matt Morrison able to get around Kudasov, but very tight back there. Zap Brannigan getting tussled up along with Robert Lewis.
This is where it gets hairy if you want to try to go side by side, is when you go through this sector 2 push
coming up into coming up the hill into the corkscrew. But I've found with Laguna, for some reason, people love to try and make an attempt in that corkscrew.
Here we go, side by side. Will they all make it through? Oh, looks like the Audi had to back out just a little bit.
Just
so
a
smart
tad,
move
right?
there. Just save the car and keep going. Try to make it up on the next lap. But good job not sending it there.
Zap Brannigan leading a pack of 3 made up of Robert Lewis and Artem Kudasov. And Zap going way wide. Lewis able to sneak on by. Let's see, Kudasov around him as well. And I want to tell you, someone who is, and because I know it from experience, a couple times we've done it just running some pubs or anything like that. Zap Brannigan is one of the absolute cleanest drivers you will find anywhere. I don't care where you go. This cat, because he's a little bit faster than me, not a ton, but he's a little bit faster than I am. And I'll tell you this cat ran on my rear bumper at Bathurst, I think for like 5 laps, and he never touched me.
That's amazing. Now,
he just
to be fair,
he was just trying to raise
top 2.
He was just trying to help me raise my SA. Was all he was doing. He's like, I'm just gonna sit here,
okay.
Go, like.
Wonderful, yeah. Well, and that's good because that is one of his top 2 tracks. That guy is a Monza sweat and a Bathurst sweat. If we could race Bathurst every week, I think that Zap would be the happiest.
I love that track too, though. I'm one of those.
So
I
hard.
love that track.
I love technical tracks. I'm just not real good at them, but I have so much fun every time I race there. Yep. Laguna Seca, this is my first race I've ever done here. I love this track. I've just got to learn it.
Yeah, I'm not that good at this track. George Garton up into P7. Tobias Gable sitting in P4 right now. Done a great job for himself. Let's take a look real quick at this is going to tell the story of what happened during the course of this race. There are our position deltas. So Will Green leading the whole time, but Danny Bison able to jump up. Cole Gresk earning a position. Tobias Gable up 6 spots. Christoph Arts 13 positions during the course of today's race. Anthony Anderson 11 and George Garton 15. So these guys jumped up to where they are into the top 10 based on the fact that they kept themselves out of trouble. And we see here Wangle Snatcher now diving down the standings as he gets hung up in the grass.
Pretty good recovery up to P10 after getting smashed off track in turn 1.
Yeah. But still down 4 spots, but he's got an opportunity to make those up too, right?
Absolutely. Dude, so quick. So did I just, I don't know if I saw that right or not. Did I just see Wangle Snatcher in a McLaren and not a Mercedes? That's another car switch that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, looks like it.
Interesting. A lot of moving, a lot of shaking. You kind of think guys are married to a brand. Like I know you're married to your Audi, and I used to be married to the Aston Martin. But it's nice to have a little change, pace, try something new. And McLaren's a fine car. Not great at this track in particular, just based on what other fast people say. I wouldn't know. But a fine choice at most tracks, though. And so over the course of the season, I think once he gets that thing dialed in and figured out, Mr. Wangle Snatcher is going to find that to be a fun car to drive in this series.
See a lot of people driving the McLarens. I mean, I don't think right now it's as popular as that Porsche, certainly, but we do see a lot of McLaren drivers come through. So it must be something that's relatively stable and quick. Anthony Anderson leading George Garton and John Gray right now uphill again. And as much as I hate to say it, it seems like this corkscrew is one of some people's favorite passing point on this track. I know Mr. Dylan Dunn is quite good at it. Call that giving him the double D when you pass through the corkscrew. For Dylan Dunn. Matt Comiskey leading Brian Anderson and Adam Thomas right now, sitting in P11. Thomas able to get around Anderson right behind him there. Anderson dropping off very quickly, losing position to Haynes as well.
Us in the chat saying the calendar we have is very Porsche friendly, so that may be influencing some people's decisions. I feel like there were some backroom dealings there that only half the grid knew about.
That's Zap paying people off, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Zap or Pickett, one of the two. Had to be one of those two guys.
Speaking of which, is Pickett still rocking the pink pig Porsche?
He is. He is still
Fantastic.
out there, currently sitting P10 with the pink pig Porsche. And again, I never say it more than once during a race because I will screw it up. So taking a look, let's just walk down it real quick as things spread out just a little bit. Will Green currently leading by 3.6 seconds over Danny Bison. So again, it looked up front once Bison got himself into P2, like he was going to hold for Will for a while. But at this point, 3.5 seconds that spread. Cole Gress up into third right now, doing very well for himself today. And again, Tobias Gable qualifying in 10th, now sitting in 4th. Tobias in our own chat said not one of his favorite tracks, doesn't like how little grip he has, but he's doing very well today just by keeping himself out of trouble. And Christoph Arts, who again qualified quite low for what we know of him, and maybe this is why. I mean, I think, what was he running last season? Was he in the Bentley?
I believe he was in the BMW.
Well, he's in the Ferrari now, and I know that's not normal. So again, changing up for this season, maybe that's why we saw him qual a little lower than what we're used to, as he gets used to a new vehicle.
Yeah, the Ferrari's a very different animal. If you've been used to driving front engines, I drove it for a couple of races, and one of them was Monza, which is, it's a basic track. It's not overly technical, and I drove it for about 8 laps and parked it and said, not coming back to this. Ferrari is not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever driven the Ferrari.
It's fun. The iRacing Ferraris, the fixed Ferrari is really fun.
Oh, those, yeah. I've driven that. That's, oh my God.
That Ferrari I'll drive. The Ferrari in ACC I don't really get on with for whatever reason.
I saw a meme the other day that somebody posted a picture of Wreckfest, and somebody posted a picture of the fixed Ferrari series in iRacing, and it was the one from The Office that said, "Tell me the difference between these two pictures," and they're the same picture, pretty much, because that's been my experience every time with iRacing Ferraris.
It is a guaranteed SR loss unless you're on pole.
Oh, so Zap and Kula tied up in an incident now. Zap and finding himself back in P24. But Ryan Blanchette and Humphrey Wangle-Snatcher. Wangle-Snatcher shooting by as Blanchette gives him room going through the sand through the corkscrew. But Wangle-Snatcher doing well, up to P19 at this point, as Brian Anderson and Adam Thomas are going to battle down into into T2.
I'm curious what happened back there with Zap. I did notice that Zap pulled off to the side and waited for the Lamborghini to pass him. So I'm wondering if Zap just made him, one of his very few mistakes that he'll make as a driver.
Yeah.
And, that's always the good thing to do for those of you that don't know. If you cause an incident, you hit somebody, and they're not just like absolutely murdered and towed back to the pits, stop and wait. That's the right thing to do. That's the community thing to do.
Yep.
Like, yes, you want to get on with your race. Yeah, you're super happy. You might pick up a spot, but be a good dude first, and then be a great racer.
100%. And I think, I think it depends on the situation, right? And every one of them's different. I think it's more of a gentleman's agreement, right? Oh, and now Christoph Arts dropping. Oh, and getting hammered. Oh, it's brutal in the gut. Oh, boy. Hold on here. Let's back up 30 seconds. It's going to be worth it. Christoph Arts, who we saw running up high. Let's back up here. He's continuing to drop positions as we watch this replay, but coming into the corkscrew, throws himself in a circle out into the sand, and right there is the problem. He's parked in it and trying to get the rejoin, and unfortunately spins it at the wrong time, hooking up G. Steven and Daniel Pickett. So that is a shame. Christoph Art's now in the dirt, back to P21. Not a good rejoin there. It looks like he tried to turn off his traction control, get it swung quick, and bring it around and get, headed back down the track. And unfortunately, I don't think is there any safe way to rejoin at the corkscrew? Nobody can see you. You have no opportunity.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just, and with a full grid like this, like we talked about earlier with Otter's spin, there's not going to be a gap, and you've just got to try to figure something out or tow back to the pits, because that was going to happen regardless, no matter how careful he was. And he feels terrible right now. I know he does, because I've done something like that before, and you just feel awful because you've compromised somebody else's race. You've given them damage with only 29 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you meant to do there? It's so small, so tight.
Yep. Brian Anderson getting ahead of Andrew Haynes. These two have been battling back and forth a little bit. Adam Thomas getting around as Andrew Haynes loses 2 spots back to P11 now, but Anthony Anderson and George Garton sticking very close together. Keep our eyes right here for a little while. Garton able to take the inside line and hold on. John Gray catching up now. We're going to have a 3-way battle. And yes, Jisoo Motorsports is correct. There's no live stewarding during the regular season races. Now, during the endurance races, like we mentioned, the 6-hour series with Trackalicious and 949, and then also the 12 hours at Barcelona, those will have live stewarding going on during those races. I think any of our really long endurance series, we try and have live stewarding available.
I felt so bad in the last one.
Hold on, sorry. Garton losing the back end around that corner, giving John Gray opportunity now, has jumped up into the middle of this pack. So, and Anderson getting himself a little bit of a reprieve with a 1-second gap back to these two. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was going to say the last endurance event, Will Green was just absolutely flooded with reports. I felt so bad for the guy once I saw the sheer number of reports they were having to go through. So if you have stewarding experience, I am sure our stewards would love to have some help.
Absolutely.
Reach out to those guys. And like we talked about earlier, community involvement. Like, you do all these races by yourself, and I have broadcast and radio experience. I'll pop in here every now and then, give you a little reprieve so you don't have to try to cover the whole thing, save some voice. Just, that's what you do as a community. You do stuff to help each other out, and plus it just gives us a chance to hang out.
And I'm appreciative of anybody, yourself, Huff, when he's available, will jump in. Will Green has jumped in before, Chief. All those guys. I'm very appreciative when you guys jump in here, because, especially, we did that 24-hour race. And unfortunately, the servers crashed at 21 hours, but 21 hours straight. And let me tell you, I enjoyed every second of it. It was a blast. Even, whether it was by myself, Dunn joined me overnight in the early morning hours. One of our admins, he came in and we talked for a while during the dark hours of the race when everybody's really spread out and there's not a lot of action. But I enjoyed the whole thing immensely. So, and I guess this is my way of being involved, because again, I'm not a good driver. One of the reasons I stepped back a little bit as we watched this battle go down, one of the reasons I stepped back a little bit from league racing was and John Gray dipping into the pits there will open that up, but George Garton now still going to apply pressure to Anderson. Danny Bison into the pits as well. One of the reasons I stepped back was because I had done, with a former league, I had done like 3 or 4 races, and whatever it was, the last race, I hammered a guy. I mean, I just missed my break point. I wasn't paying attention, and I blasted him on T1 at Bathurst. I felt so awful about doing that. I just didn't want to race anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because I know how much I practice during a week if I'm going to race, right? Not so much anymore because it's iRacing and it's MX5, so whatever, I'll figure it out. But with ACC, I know how much time I was putting into practicing. I was new to sim racing. I was new to league racing. And to know how much time I put in and to realize that I just screwed up your race when you probably did the same thing, like, I feel like I wasted your entire week. Like, I feel awful, right? And so that's kind of what pulled me back. Now I'll still jump in and race pubs with these guys or something once in a while and all this stuff, but I'm not in for high stress racing like these guys are. It's just not my bag.
So that's one of the things that my wife has been on me about is I'll have these terrible races and I'm just mad when I get off. And she was like, why do you keep doing it? Like, cause I love it. She was like, right now you love it. Like, no, I hate it. I hate all of them. I hate this. I hate the car. I hate the game. I hate my wheel. I hate myself. And she was like, but you keep doing it. Like, okay, I'm an addict, but I can quit whenever I want. Watch, I'll quit. And then I'm racing again the next week.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
So those things, it's as people, we have things that can drive us, that give us excitement, those adrenaline rushes. And you get a little bit of that here. Yeah, it's not real racing, but I mean, racing side by side with one of your buddies, talking smack, you watch them spin out and you laugh at them. Like, it's fantastic. It's great fun. But then it also comes with the pain of being me.
Yeah, exactly. I have that pain too.
Speaking of which, my buddy KB is up into P17 on Petrovic. So really good from him. He was down in P30 earlier. I don't know if he's pitted or not yet. I think he did, but all the way up to P17 for KB.
Very good. Armand Petrovic. I like his livery too. That's a tight livery.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And he designed that himself. He
awesome.
Does his own. That's one of our endurance liveries.
Mm-hmm.
And he also races that in his Thursday league that I'm a part of. And yeah, so he designs all of our endurance liveries for what's called the ZDR boys. And so each one of the liveries is right now an Air Force fighter aircraft. And so we have an SR-71 Blackbird, we have an F-15 Eagle, and I can't remember what the Raptor, whatever that model of jet is that 30, I can't think of.
35? 35?
It sounds good, yeah. And so he will do that. I think that's right. And anyway, so he does, and there'll be little like hidden things, and like when Zap makes graphics, there's always something hidden in them. Mm-hmm. And he does the same thing. There'll be a little ode to that, or like on the SR-71, our Blackbird team, it's just Skunk Works across the back.
Okay, nice.
The rear bumper. Yeah, so just cool stuff like that. So yeah, he's another guy that's real talented, real good at bringing community together. So KB is he's a good dude.
That's awesome, man. And this is what I love about this the community that we've built here, and that is continuing to grow as we watch Ryan Blanchette off into the Toolies a little bit. Was in P10, still there. He's got plenty of time right now to see if he can pick that up, but did that to himself. Again, still in 10th right now. We'll see if he holds on to it. Actually moved up into 9th with Andrew Haynes just now leaving the pits. Matt Comiskey up into 7th. As Will Green continues to dominate right now. 16 seconds up on Cole Gress. Cole Gress currently in the pits. So that gap is opening. So again, I'll give you guys an idea here just to look at it. And I don't think I can throw it up on screen. I can't. So let's just talk about it real quick. If we look at someone like Danny Bison, who's been into the pits, Cole Gress is in there now. We'll see what he comes out at. But Danny with a 5.4 second sitting pit time. If you look at Anthony Anderson, currently sitting P6, he was in there for 10.2. So we're kind of seeing this split of longer and shorter pit times. A lot of the guys that went in, Andrew Haynes, 7.4 seconds, Adam Thomas, 5.2. And you can tell some of these guys had damage. John Gray was in for 29.4 seconds. Dan Pickett in for 26.9. A lot of damage to fix there, I'd say. But I'm curious to see how long, Will is in there, how long Tobias Gable goes in for. Again, Cole in the pits for quite a while now, a full minute so far, sitting in the pits. And out now, and again, Cole Gress. Did we see him in an incident at all? I don't recall seeing Cole spun up in anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
32 seconds in the pits, though.
Oh, poor Haynes had a real bad off there. So, Will Green has yet to pit, correct?
Correct.
And he's 30 seconds back to Tobias Gable. So, I mean, he's still got that covered off pretty well, but that's Tobias Gable on the podium from P10.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable, right?
Oh, wait, has Gable pit?
No. Nope.
No, he is not. But still, he's still in the fight for the podium.
Yeah.
And how about DJ? And
DJ has not
currently.
Yeah, DJ has not pit yet either. We've got DJ, Comiskey, and Rob Kesar, who have not pitted in our top 10 so far, along with Will Green and Tobias Gable. It looks like the rest of the field has hit the pits. We only have 28 drivers left at this point. I think there was quite a bit of damage and some frustrated folks today. I do not want to be a steward of this.
I wouldn't be interested in that at all.
It's a good thing I'm not.
I love our stewards, but I'm not impartial and I'm not unbiased enough to be like, yeah, that guy deserves a huge penalty. He's a jerk.
There we go. Will Green diving into the pits now. Should be able to, at this point, should be able to come back out still in first as Tobias Gable there heads up the hill towards the corkscrew coming through it now. Will's got plenty of time. Let's see how long. He's sitting now. Let's see how quickly he gets moving again. And he's already off. So again, Will Green in and out very quickly. We barely had time to catch it as we're looking at Dan Pickett and Adam Thomas fighting back here. Pickett picking up P10 now. So Will Green heading back out of the pits as Tobias Gable comes in. So Will going to hold on to that P1 no matter what. Will taking up 6.1 seconds at the pit stands for fuel today.
And I wonder how much that affects. Let me start over here. I wonder how much that time is affected by you don't hit your pit box correctly, and you know how they kind of lift you and it goes to the side.
Yeah.
Or like I have auto engine on right now because at the time my former wheel I didn't have enough buttons to do everything I wanted to do.
Okay.
So now with my new wheel, I'm getting ready to start doing all that to where everything's on manual. You know, for the immersion, even though. Yeah. We allow people to use the auto pit limiter and auto ignition on and off. That's cool because you want to be welcoming to all levels. But I wonder how much time you actually save because some of these top level guys, like say like a Brian Canopin, esports legend, he makes a big deal about how you've got to shut the engine off yourself. You've got to hit that mark perfectly. But when you're up front running with somebody like a Will Green, with a Tobias Gable, with an Anthony Anderson, a half a second is literally your race.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. And we look here, I mean, now Will's lead, which was up around 13 seconds before all the pitting started, is now cut to 7. All of our drivers have now been in and out of the pits. It looks like Tobias Gable ran about 5.8 seconds, so a little bit faster Will. So did Danny Bisden. Again, 5.4 over Will's 6.1 actually sitting. So again, it's hard for me to say, you know, I see it we have to find out. We have to talk to some of these guys and say, hey, did you hit the pit box correct? How are you doing it? I'd be curious to know exactly how they do their pit stops.
So right now, are you able to sort that table and see, or the report, and see who is the fastest pit stop? Because that's the guy we need to talk to and figure out.
No, but I can find out for you real quick. 5.4 would be Danny Bison so far. Brian Anderson somehow got a 0.0. That doesn't make any sense. So if we discount that one, the 5.4 is the fastest out of Danny Bison.
That's crazy fast. Because I know when I pit in the AM race, my controls locked popped up at 5 seconds, and I had already been sitting there for a second. So I'm sure my pit stop was closer to around 7 seconds.
Really?
Because I know I missed my mark. So.
See, I think for me to go manual on a lot of this stuff, it's going to require that I get out of VR and onto triples.
Yes.
Okay, you can't see your buttons. You can't see what's going on your steering wheel. You have to go by feel. And if I'm sitting there scrambling around amongst a 3-button cluster for which button I got to hit, you know, it's not going to go easy. But here we watch Wangle Snatcher being chased by Retro Coffin. Retro on the inside, able to take it in that Porsche. And right back as he goes a little too deep. Wangle Snatcher able to claim that position back, but now Retro Coffin going to have to deal with Remco Ottens, who has gotten himself all the way back up into P14 after a devastating hook on a curb that brought him all the way back to, I want to say about P25 at one point.
Yeah, at least. I mean, he was just dropping down the order. It was a precipitous fall, if you will.
Yeah, well, especially right there at the beginning, everybody's still grouped up. How are you ever supposed to get back out on track?
Pretty good recovery, and he's showing the pace that put him on P2 to make up a lot not those spots. You just got to minimize mistakes and maximize your overtaking opportunities, which is not right now. Remy, don't do it here.
Not please not in the corkscrew. Don't do it. action every day, though. We you know, and a lot of people look and they go, oh, it's an AM race, I'm not going to watch this. And you know, we had a ton of action during today's AM race. It was amazing. Otten's now able to pull ahead of Retro Coffin. Coffin not ready to leave it there, though. Gonna look for the inside again.
Prior Motorsports in the chat says, so much damage, I'm out. I'll try again next season. Got hit about 5 times at the start, spun and then spun again.
That's too bad.
Not what Mr. Pryor was looking for there. So
yeah,
super disappointing he didn't get to finish the race, but I understand that frustration when it was out of your hands, you get killed, and it's like, well, what's the point? Like, I'm already a lap down.
Yeah.
So I get it, man.
It
stinks.
Although I will say, to counter that, right? And I'm not saying he's wrong for leaving. I personally try not to leave a race, even if I get waffled, even if I'm down a lap or two. First of all, I'm used to being down a lap or two. That's just the nature of my driving. But the other thing is it's still practice. It's still getting better. It's still learning and figuring out. You know what I mean? Like, again, not to blame Pryor, not to say that he should have done something different. That's entirely up to him. I'm saying for myself, I don't like leaving because I want the practice, but I don't have as much experience as other people, right? Al Truitt in with a party of 8. Welcome in everybody from Al Truitt's view, Al Truitt's stream. I want to thank y'all for being here. Neltac1 in the chat. Hey, listen, everybody, I say it every time, and I actually got it from a good friend of mine, Mr. Bare Necessities, but I want to welcome each and every one of you Raiders in. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming to watch our race today. You're watching the second of 2 races, our pro and silver class split right now, as we watch Andrew Haynes battle George Garton. But if you were watching Al Truitt, if he's online, you know, be loyal to your streamer, stick with your streamer. He's what you come to watch. He's who you want to see. He or she, they're who you want to see. That's who you want to have fun with. But if they're not on, come back here anytime. We will be happy to welcome you at Box 3 Motorsports. Andrew Haynes and George Garton have decided that, again, the corkscrew is the place to make a pass.
Just nutty. I would never in a million years would I attempt that, because I would kill myself, them. I'd probably flip the track on its head.
I'm saying.
Yeah, that takes a lot of huevos.
And DJ now having troubles at dropping about 4 positions back to P15. Let's hit a 30-second on that one and go take a look and see what happened. And right there, we've seen that catch more than one person today. Throws himself through the corkscrew, but is luckily off track, able to get spun around and rejoin without any problems.
I wonder if that was just a little lift-off oversteer, because I've heard from folks that like to drive the Porsche, you got to have a little maintenance throttle through tighter corners like that to be able to keep the rear end planted. And so I wonder if that's just lift-off oversteer.
And DJ doing it to himself again. Luckily, no incidents. Will Green continues to lead today. Take a comparison with Danny Bisden.
The other thing that happens
at their times.
As we get down to the closing moments of the race, the Porsche does have the fuel tank in the front of the car, and so you start to lose front grip as that load gets lighter.
Okay.
And so depending on how you've set up the car, if you set it up to run great on low fuel, and then it's really going to smash that front end down and give you great grip through the front, but you're also going to wear the tires out. So it's part of what makes the Porsche such an interesting animal, being a true rear engine car with a front fuel tank, and you've got to set it up knowing that it's going to lift and you're going to have less mechanical grip on the front axle as it goes through the late stages of the race.
Gotcha. Al Truitt, thank you so much for the raid, sir. Thank you for being here. Go get some food, get some nourishment in you. And again, welcome in to everyone from Al Truitt's stream. We want to thank y'all for being here. You guys are awesome. Drivers having a relatively good race today. I mean, I will say T1, or well, it's actually technically T2 here, was just brutal at the start of this race today. Hopefully we can calm things down throughout the rest of this season. We are back on June 12th, so next Sunday for the Nürburgring. That should get very curious, especially coming in after a 6-hour endurance the day before.
Yes, indeed. and turn one there can be as bad as any other turn one because that is so tight. And you get one car get a little squirrely, and then everyone else is squirrely.
100%.
It's difficult to pick your way through that one.
What's the effect called? I'm trying to think of what the effect is called, where you're overconfident in your abilities. Is that Dunning-Kruger?
I don't know. It sounds like
I can't remember.
To me.
Well, so here's what I'm asking is, during the M class race, we saw a very clean, and I'm going to call it turn one because the turn one at Laguna it's not really a turn. It's a dog leg that barely makes a corner. So let's call it turn one. During the M class race was very, very clean. I'm not sure that we really saw a hard push as we watched DJ fling himself across the track on the start-finish straight. He waits to get spun back around. Again, another Porsche out having fun. As Cole Gress catches up on the back of Tobias Gable here, closing that gap. We'll keep an eye up here. But what I was saying is, so during the M class race, very clean. And then this pro race, the guys who are faster, who should be better drivers, quote unquote. I wonder if there's a slight attitude of, I'm faster, therefore I'm better, therefore I'm going to send it.
Yeah, so I looked it up while we were watching the 15th DJ spin. Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias whereby people with limited knowledge or competence in a given intellectual or social domain greatly overestimate their own knowledge or competence. So it's the same kind of idea. It's an overconfidence.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, do the pro drivers have an overconfidence going into turn one that they got this? And that's why during a pro class and silver class race, we see a bigger issue at T1 compared to the M class race, because the M class drivers, as we watch a great move by Cole Gress there to get around Tobias Gable as Tobias kicks up a little dirt in the corner. Excellent move by Gress. He just flung it and was able to carry it right through. And that's why I wonder if during these pro races we see a little more toss up, right? A little more trouble in T1 versus the M class. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not trying to insult any of our pro class drivers. I just wonder if that's a natural bias that happens to where they believe you know what? I'm a pro class driver. I'm faster. I got this.
But I'm also surrounded by pro class drivers who should not make a mistake in a turn one.
Agreed.
So we should all be sending it together. And so it's an overconfidence in the trust of everyone else that we're all going to send it the same way so we can all get through here like we're on a hot lap. And it just doesn't work like that because like the accordion effect is just immediately, hey, Del King, what's up, man?
So it's like an unspoken group think. Like nobody knows they're thinking it, but everybody's thinking it.
Exactly right. And so I think the corollary is true for the AM class is we don't trust each other and we expect everyone to kill each other. So we take it easy turn one and then it's on because that's my best chance at an overtake. If I'm a slow AM guy is people are going to make a mistake in turn one. They're going to kill each other and I'm going to make 4 spots on that. And so everybody's more careful. They brake just a little bit early. Like who's going to be the screw up that I have to drive around and how do I get his spot?
Yeah.
And so it may be an underconfidence, if you will.
Yep. I wonder if that's, I'd be curious to do a study on that. I'd be very curious to know if that's the kind of thing that goes on and why we see that. You know, you would expect, because again, I'm sorry, the expectation would be, as soon as I figure out why my software is broken. Oh, that's why. DJ is gone. I was trying to click on DJ and it wasn't showing me anything. It's because he left.
That's unfortunate.
I think it is. I think I'd be curious to do a bit of a study though to see if that happens, right? If there's a correlation between those things. I'd just be very interested to know. I think it would be fantastic and just fascinating. Yep, I'm the tops. Better watch out for me. Here we go. And except they're all doing that. And so again, there's this unspoken groupthink that they're going to suck each other in, and sure enough, it ends up a mess. Even though they're supposed to be, quote unquote, supposed to be the better drivers, right?
Right. And so, but the thing I would worry about with that is that you start talking to these guys, how many real actually true answers are you going to get? Because no, I'm not that guy. No, I'm trying to be careful. But then but hold on, dude, you were the guy that was full throttle, at the 2 board when you're supposed to brake at the 5 board. Are you sure? Because your onboard tells a different story.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think you would have to almost do it by pulling telemetry versus talking to people, right? Because everybody's gonna be like, nah, I'm not that guy. I don't do that. There's no way. I like 1-2 incidents a whole season. I don't know what you're talking about. And then you go look at the telemetry, and to your point, hey, dude, you were full out, like way past the break point. We're not sure what you're talking about.
No steering input at all. You did not try to make that corner. Now, again, it's completely acceptable if blue's in front of you. Any other time, we'd like 100%. You to control your car.
100%. George Garton under pressure from Gray through the corkscrew again. We're going to get a little side-by-side action going. You guys love the corkscrew. But it might pay off here for Gray. He's got the inside line, but not quite. Garton able to hold on for one more corner as Adam Thomas dips behind them off into the sand.
It seems to be Mr. Garton's kryptonite right now. I noticed he tends to run a little bit deeper into that corner, and I wonder if maybe it's just a brake balance, or he's getting into the ABS, and so he runs just a little bit deeper. And so you crank that ABS up a little bit so it doesn't activate quite as quickly, or move your brake bias back a little bit. It'll keep you from sliding so deep in that corner, and then he can maintain. I mean, he maintains the gap to the lap, but they get to the corkscrew, and that seems to be his kryptonite. When the car unloads, the front end gets light, and like I said, you get a little bit too much brake, and you go deep, and then that what was a half second is now a tenth.
Well, that's the thing for anybody who hasn't driven it. It looks like Haynes and Retro Coffin have made contact back there. It's interesting to me because if for anybody watching who hasn't driven it, which I assume most of our audience have, that corkscrew to me is so dangerous because the front of the car is almost leaving the ground as you turn in at the top, right? I mean, it's such a precipitous drop. And so you're heading left, you immediately have to get back to the right. But how much grip do you have in the front of the car? And especially depending on which vehicle it is. To your point, the Porsche, as we get closer to the end here, I mean, 3.5 minutes left in this race. How much grip do you have in the front of that Porsche with that fuel tank almost empty?
All right, so as we saw him that time through, George Garton hooked that up perfectly. He looked like he hit his mark exactly. So I'm going to assume he was listening to the stream and thought, you know what? Josh may be the smartest man alive right now, and I'm going to take this derivative information that he definitely stole from somebody in a conversation earlier today, and I'm going to put it into practice.
I'm going to make it work for me.
Yes. And that's how it works. That's how community works, folks. I steal from you, and you steal from me, and we all get better together.
At the end of the day, we're all better for it. Oh my. So George Garton now opening that gap a little bit over John Gray. Maxim Maitev back here in P14 over Rob Kesar right now. Holding about 1 second as Rob goes deep into that corner with the Porsche, able to tighten it back up. Zach Brannigan leading Robert Lewis. Lewis looking to the outside. Looks like Lewis able to pull a little more speed out of the corner. Zap compensating quickly, getting up there. Looked like we almost had contact there, but not quite. Robert Lewis keeping it under control. Zap Brannigan holding that position. Right ahead of these guys, though, Matt Comiskey getting passed up by Conrad Kula in that very fancy livery.
That thing is pretty.
So Matt Comiskey now dropping to P18.
Kula's livery almost looks like a 70s disco type shirt.
Right? That's what I couldn't place it. You nailed it. Yeah.
Top 4 buttons undone, big gold chain, hair slicked back.
Oh, yeah. Rob Kesar getting around Maxim Maitev, but just barely. See if Rob can hold on to it, as Maitev looks towards the inside.
Maitev running the Ukraine colors, or Ukrainian flag. I wonder if he's actually a native of Ukraine.
If so, I hope safe wherever he might be.
Indeed. Do you think Will Green is still awake at the front, or is he
Right,
pretty much nodded off
sleeping at this point? Well, he's got to watch, though, as he almost got his nose clipped off by an Audi. My goodness. Let's see if we can catch that real quick. If we jump back, watch this. Will just trying to tool along in the back markers, and yeah, that Audi about got him, but John Gray and George Garton are continuing to battle. Will got around him. Garton and Gray making contact now, split up a little bit. Remco Ottens is right there back coming up with him as well. Now Anderson and Pickett going to do battle as we come down to the last. Oh, it's over. As the race timer ticks down, Will Green on the last lap. Let's keep it right here, though, with Anderson and Pickett for P5. As of right now, your race winner will be Will Green. Danny Bison coming in P2 with Cole Gress in P3. Tobias Gable P4, but we don't know P5 yet. We don't know the other ones either, but they're pretty well set. Where here, Daniel Pickett into the corkscrew, chasing down Anthony Anderson.
I think that's going to be it for P5. I don't think there's going to be much more Pickett can do at this point.
Yeah, unless Anderson throws it in this last corner. Pickett looking towards the inside, just not quite able to get there. Oh, and Anderson goes wide, though. Can Pickett tighten it up? Not quite. But they've got to go another lap. We're going to keep watching this as they go side by side into T2. Pickett now leading, picking up P5. Will Green is your race winner as he comes across the line. Finishing out. Daniel Pickett picks up P5, able to get around Anthony Anderson. Danny Bison finishes out in P2. Cole Gress now with the fastest lap of today's race with a 1:22.105. Full 10th over Will Green's 2:10.
And that right there is the difference between Tobias Gable or Cole Gress on the podium, because Tobias was up there in P3 for a very long time after qualifying P10. But Cole's one lap pace, lap over lap, was just that much faster, and you're up to a 15-second gap between the two of them. And that's how close in a new car from P10 up to P4 to a potential podium.
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
Just that half a second per lap, that 3/10 here, 2/10 here.
And here's the thing. I mean, you know, Tobias is running a 1:23.9 for his fastest versus the 1:22.1 of Gress. Even their last laps, I don't have averages here, but even their last laps, a 1:23.1 versus a 1:25.6 from Tobias. So, and there it is. Daniel Pickett now going to finish out P5, able to hold Anthony Anderson at bay. George Garton coming across. Remco Ottens, John Gray, Adam Thomas are your top 10. Retro Coffin finishing out in P11 with Humphrey Wangle Snatcher, P12. That is it, folks. Let's jump back here real. Got a whole bunch of people joining this channel. I don't know what is going on.
It was me. Backing out, back in. Hey, did you see your messages in admin?
No.
They announced the winner of the most improved driver.
Oh, perfect. Well, let's do that then. Let's talk about it. So season 2.
Give me 1 second before you start that.
Okay.
Your fastest lap, would love to do an interview if you want to do one.
Who's that? Did we just
Cole Gress?
Cole Gress. Yeah. Bring him down here.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and do that, and I'll drag him up.
All right. Sounds good. So last season, Coach Dave Academy sponsored, along with Next Level Racing. So Next Level Racing, Kurtz was our winner there. He won the championship, got that Next Level Racing FGT Light rig. That was fantastic. So congratulations to him. And as voted on by the community, as promised, we got this at the last moment, but most improved driver from season 2 of our PC ACC League, Retro Coffin. We watched him today. We watched him. He did a great job today, too, I think. If we take a look here at our results, where did he end up? He might have dropped. Can't find him on my list. There he is, P11 today. P11 today, Retro Coffin. There he is, right there in that Skechers. That Skechers Porsche. Retro Coffin, good job, dude. So he will win that car setup pack from, or I'm sorry, track setup pack from Coach Dave Academy. He really did have a good season last season. So moved himself up quite a bit. So with us now, we've got Red Rider. These guys do things in the background while we're, Josh and I are here covering the race. We're paying attention. We're talking. We're trying to talk about things. And the Red Rider's in the background doing a bunch of goofy stuff. Huff Mannix out in the outdoor world touching grass somewhere, still doing things. He's in chat. He's sitting outside, but he's watching. I can't figure that out. He must be on a phone or something. I would never do such a thing. But joining us now, Cole Gress. So, Gress, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Awesome. Well, everybody's dropped out now, so I can't see anything from my list. But I will tell you this: you ended up with the fastest lap today. During and here's the thing: during the race, and I think we saw that during the AM race as well, where people were setting faster laps during the race than they did during qual. So, what happened during the race that allowed you to tighten up that pace and really get faster when normally we would expect to see that during the race itself?
I think it's the 20. I got on 20 minutes before the race.
Okay.
So we finally warmed up midway through. So we had fun though. I enjoy Laguna. I don't put much time on the track, but when I was in iRacing, I did put a decent amount of time, so I do know kind of the ins and outs and what to do and what not to do. I just had a fun time, and I think it also helped. I accidentally got tires on my pit, so.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Now, I wonder because, again, we were looking at the pit times during the course of this race, and we were seeing 5 seconds to 10 seconds, somewhere in that range, people getting fuel. And we, Josh and I talked a little bit about, do people front load so they can splash and dash, or do they take a little longer on their pit stop because they can go out lighter up front? But you're saying, because we did see a lot of people with 30, 34, 35. I attributed that to damage, but you're saying you ended up with a 30-second pit stop because of tires.
Yeah, I fueled up for a splash and dash,
Mm-hmm.
and then was expecting that. And then my crew chief told me, like a fake crew chief, of course, but yeah, I saw that I had tires selected, so.
Okay.
What are you going to do? Went back to 6th, and then I just said, we're sending it, and that's when I got the fast lap.
We're sending it. That's awesome. Well, you know what? You beat out Will Green for that, so I got to say, that's pretty impressive. Will's a speedy guy. And again,
Yeah,
I wish I could see my data, because I'd love to know where did you qual today?
4th, I believe, something like that, with
so
a 22.7.
Okay, so you stayed pretty even for the race, then you finished in 4th, right?
3rd.
Third. Okay, so you picked up a position. Without the information, I'd lose it, and everybody left the
No,
circuit,
you're all good, sir.
It dumps out on me. So, but that's fantastic. I mean, you picked up a position. You ended up on the podium, fastest lap of the race. Sounds to me like you had a good one today.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like we can't be content. It's a start of the season. We have a lot to do, a lot to learn, and I'm excited for what to come. So I think between me, Greeny, and the other gentleman that got second, I think it's going to be a good bout for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying I'm. Your goal is always to win. But we got some talented guys up there, so it should be fun.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to it. And again, let's jump over and take a look while we have you here. And I'm going to ask you a question here in just a minute. But this is our PC season coming up, starting today at Laguna, of course, with the races you just watched. We're back next week. No. Yeah, we're back next week at Nürburgring for another 45-minute AM class and pro silver races. 2 races. We'll get both of those. So, of looking at the tracks for the rest of this season, right? Nürburgring next week, then Kyalami, Hungaroring, Zandvoort, Monza. It's a short 6-week season, spread a little bit out because of other endurance races. What are you looking forward to the most? Which track, other than today, where again, podium secured, where do you think you're going to do well?
I'm never going to do well thing. It's racing, anything can happen, So like, it's more of just take it race by race, practice as much as I can, possibly can. I am in summertime now. I got off school, so make it a little faster since I do have some more time to practice. So
excellent.
I think it'll be a good time. I am excited for Nürburgring. I think I got some good pace there. Consistent pace, I don't know, but outright speed, I think I got a chance there.
Excellent. Are you excited for July 17th at Monza for T1?
When you're in the front of the pack, usually in qualifying, I think it wouldn't be a problem because I'll just brake check everyone and then they can deal with the problems.
There you go.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it should be good. I'm excited. It's always a fun time at Monza.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for joining us, sir. Appreciate it, and good job today.
Yeah.
Excellent making that
Appreciate it.
podium. That's absolutely fantastic. Josh, thank you to you as well for being here, man.
Sweet.
Jumping in and talking. And if anybody watching, if you guys, again, we're gonna have 2 races every week throughout this season. If you're interested in jumping in, and the sun moves, so now everybody's blinded with backlight behind me, which is ridiculous. But if you guys are interested in jumping in, if you think you bring something to the table, you want to join the streams, hit me up on the Discord. Let me know. If you're not a member of Box3 Motorsports right now and you want to, !box in the chat will get you to our Discord. Come join us. We have casual series. We have iRacing. We have ACC. Maybe some other stuff coming up too. So you never know. But I want to thank both you gentlemen for joining me today. I want to thank Red Ryder for jumping in here quick and getting my attention. And everybody, have yourselves a great weekend. And we will be back next Saturday. Don't forget, I got to throw it up before we go. I got to throw it up one more time. We're back next Saturday, June 11th, for 6 hours at the Hungara Ring with Trackalicious and 949. And then again,
I got to practice for that shit.
You better get practicing. And again, back next Sunday for the Nürburgring, another 45-minute race. Am and rookies and Pro and Silver will have 2 races that day. So thank you everybody for watching. You guys have yourselves a great week, and come on back and watch us next week. We'll have it all here. Everybody have a good one. Thanks, everybody.